Well, let's begin with the latest that's happening on the anti-Agneepath protests, even as the government tries to firefight the concerns over the Agneepath military recruitment scheme by extending the upper age limit from 21 to 23 years. For this year, there's been no end to the raging protests. Agitation seen in UP, Bihar, parts of Rajasthan, Telangana and West Bengal. Protesters demand a blanket withdrawal of the scheme. Trains were set ablaze in Bihar and UP. Railway services heavily impacted as 13 trains have been cancelled so far. One death among the protesters also reported in Hyderabad, whereas an army aspirant who spent 2 years waiting for the recruitment to begin has now ended his life in Haryana. Police and the paramilitary forces have detained Agneepath protesters at Secunderabad railway station. Meanwhile, army has also begun the process of recruitment, and the notification will be out in 2 days.
The government's decision to grant this 2 years waiver for the first or the one-time waiver for the recruitment cycle 2022, I think will provide a good opportunity for the young, energetic and motivated youth who have been waiting to get recruited and for some reason in the last 2 years could not partake in the recruitment process. So I think this is a good opportunity for them. As far as the schedule of the recruitment is concerned, I think in a very short time we shall be announcing it. And I would like to appeal to the youth to come forward and be part of the recruitment process as and when we announce it. Like I mentioned, this recruitment process will commence very shortly. In the next 2 days, this notification will be posted on joinindianarmy.nic.in website. And thereafter, in the next stage, our various recruitment offices will promulgate the dates for registration and conduct of rallies, including their locations or places pan-India. And in all this, we will make sure that the prospective candidates do get adequate time for registration as well as preparation.
And the first Agneeveer?
Yes, the first Agneeveer we reckon will join our regimental centers by December and will be available for deployment in our operational and non-operational units by the middle of next year.
The fire of Agneepath has now spread all across the country, not only 6 states but also the national capital has also witnessed the protest against the Agneepath scheme. In fact, here just a few minutes ago, that a lot of protesters from ISA as well as CYSS, which is the student union, the student wing of Aam Aadmi Party, and also the left party wing, means the ISA and Student Federation of India. The activists gathered over here, and because it's a very sensitive area, it's very sensitive chalk, that is ITO chalk, just a few steps away from the police headquarters, old police headquarters. So immediately large number of police personnel also gathered over here, and they took the position and they controlled over the situation. And in 3 buses, around 100, more than 100 youths, that also include the women activists from both the organization. They were detained and have been taken to the police station. Police say that they had not given any permission to protest or any kind of gathering at this particular chalk, but since they gathered over here and they tried to block the road, that is why they were detained. So we can say right now that not only other states but in the national capital as well, the fire of Agneepath scheme has spread over here, and we have to see, and the police is saying that they are just keeping an eye. If any other place this kind of protest happen, they will definitely take the action.
मुझे रास्ते में परेशानी हुई। मेरा ट्रेन वहाँ से तो राइट टाइम चली, 9:10 में वहाँ से खुली है ट्रेन, बट रास्ते में छपरा से पहले ये ट्रेन को रोक दिया गया। तकरीबन 6 घंटे हम लोग फंसे रहे ट्रेन में। परेशानी ये हुई खाने पे, उसमें एक तो ट्रेन के अंदर वो नहीं थी, कैंटीन नहीं थी, जिसकी वजह से ना पानी मिल पाया हमें टाइम पे, ना कुछ खाने का व्यवस्था कुछ भी नहीं था मैडम।
Now when we came to know, everybody is shattered, man. See, whole of the trip is disturbed. When you have plans and they don't go as the way you want them, then it's bad. You feel very sad for that. It's people's mistake also. They are not taking the things as they should take. If you want to protest, there are a number of ways to protest, man. If you are burning the things, public property, adversely it will come at your end only. You have to pay the burdens.
4 घंटे लेट है, जो कि नहीं होना चाहिए था. एंड गर्मी भी है. अगर पहले पता होता तो शायद हम घर से ही लेट आते.
We're getting reports from all the affected locations across the country. My colleague Aditya is now joining me from Patna. Aditya, we've seen some of those pictures, of course, where the train bogies were being burnt. And tell us now, what is the situation like? What are the authorities doing to keep things under control?
We are actually standing outside the same railway station of Danapur, and we can clearly see that it is almost business as usual. Only difference is that there is, you can say, a police vehicle, a large police vehicle that has actually transported some additional cops to this particular place, and the cars that were actually burnt by the protesters earlier during the day. And that being said, interesting to note here is that considering that the social media networking sites and instant messaging services are actually detrimental to the peace and tranquility of the state, the State Home Department has now come up with an order that has actually, you can say, stopped the transmission of messages through social networking sites. And this is actually enacted in as many as 12 out of the 38 districts of the state. So, Kaimur, Bhojpur, Aurangabad, Rohtas, Buxar, Nawada, West Champaran, Samastipur, Lakhisarai, Begusarai, Vaishali and Saran districts are going to have no social media messaging services right since 2 p.m. of Friday, that is today, and this is going to continue until the Sunday. And that being said, the state government is taking some actions, and this action is actually taken after the interrogation of many people who had been nabbed during the police exercise to curtail this.
This is important information you're giving us. Certain districts will not have access to internet. That has been suspended given the security threat. Aditya reporting from Danapur near Patna. Thanks very much. Meanwhile, government has been claiming that this new recruitment scheme for the military is for the betterment of the youth. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that the recruitments were not done for the last 2 years, so the government has decided to increase the age limit for Agniveers, whereas the Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav appealed to protesters not to indulge in violence.
I request everybody not to take law in their own hands, and please do not destroy the railway property. Railway property is your property. It is national property. It is for your service. It is for everybody's service. Please do not damage the railway property.
पिछले 2 साल से सेना में भर्ती की प्रक्रिया न होने के कारण बहुत से नौजवानों को सेना में भर्ती होने का अवसर नहीं मिला। यह सच्चाई है। इसलिए युवाओं के भविष्य को ध्यान में रखते हुए और उनके प्रति संवेदनशीलता दिखाते हुए प्रधानमंत्री जी के अनुमोदन पर सरकार ने फैसला किया है कि अग्निवीरों की भर्ती की आयु सीमा को इस बार बढ़ाकर 21 से 23 वर्ष कर दिया जाए। यह वन टाइम रिलैक्सेशन दिया गया है। इससे बहुत सारे नौजवानों को अग्निवीर बनने की पात्रता स्वतः मिल जाएगी। और मैं यह भी कहना चाहता हूं कि भर्ती प्रक्रिया कुछ ही दिनों में प्रारंभ होने जा रही है। मैं सभी नौजवानों से अपील करता हूं कि सेना में भर्ती होने की वह तैयारी करें।
The government has recently announced the Agneepath scheme for enrollment in the armed forces. The age bracket for the scheme is 17.5 to 21 years. I am pleased to announce that the upper age limit for the first induction has been increased to 23 years of age. This change would permit a larger section of the youth to enroll as Agniveers. I am also glad to inform that the selection process for the Air Force will start from 24th June.
Well, while the government and the armed forces chiefs continue to stand by the position that this is going to be good for the youth of this country and it is meant to provide greater employment to the youth, the opposition parties refuses to budge from their position where they argue that this has not been a well thought out process. Opposition remains steadfast in its stand and refuses to budge. Let's listen in to some of the top leaders.
पूरे देश का युवा इस बात को लेकर गुस्से में है और केंद्र सरकार को इस बात को समझना चाहिए कि आखिर वो सरकार है किसके लिए इन युवाओं के लिए तो सरकार है, देश के लोगों के लिए तो सरकार है। देश के लोग अगर नहीं चाह रहे हैं किसी योजना को, तो ये ऐसा क्यों होता है कि नहीं बस हमारे तो मन में ये योजना आ गई, हम तो इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे। जब युवा खुल के कह रहे हैं साहब हमको इससे खतरा है, हमारे कैरियर को, हमारे भविष्य को इससे खतरा है। देश के बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट कह रहे हैं कि सेना की सुरक्षा का जो हमारा एक कवच है उसको खतरा है इससे। तो फिर क्यों सरकार ऐसा खिलवाड़ कर रही है, युवाओं के भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ कर रही है, सेना के अभेद्य दुर्ग को, हमारी सेना की मजबूती को कमजोर कर रही है।
देश में आर्मी, नेवी, एयरफोर्स के जो लोग जाते हैं, हमारे सोल्जर्स, वो एक ऑनरेबल प्रोफेशन है। वो किसी की जान लेते हैं या किसी की जान, अपनी जान दे देते हैं, और उनको आप इस तरह से ट्रीट कर रहे हैं कि 4 साल क्या मतलब, क्यों 4 साल भाई, किस लिए कर रहे हैं आप? ये गलत फैसला है। ना उसमें ग्रेचुइटी, ना उसमें डियरनेस अलाउंस। आप प्रधानमंत्री बड़ा वादा किए थे 2014 में कि 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन, यहाँ तो यहाँ रैंक है ना यहाँ पे पेंशन है, और 1 लाख से ज्यादा वैकेंसीज हैं हमारे सिपाहियों की। चीन बैठा हमारी जमीन पर, पाकिस्तान से हमको खतरा है। आप इस तरह का गलत हरकत किए हैं, गलत फैसला है। देश के प्रधानमंत्री को फौरन, क्योंकि उनकी गलत फैसले की वजह से आज नौजवान भारत में रोड पर निकल आया है।
अग्निपथ भर्ती योजना ना तो राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा के हित में है, ना ही राष्ट्र हित में है, ना ही हमारे देश के नौजवानों के भविष्य के हित में है। ये पहली बार नहीं है कि सरकार फैसला कर देती है और बाद में पछताती है, और फैसले से पीछे कदम भी लेने पड़ते हैं। हमारा एक इस्टेब्लिश सिस्टम है, रिक्रूटमेंट का इस्टेब्लिश सिस्टम है, रेजिमेंट्स का इस्टेब्लिश सिस्टम है। जिस देश का सैनिक अपने भविष्य को लेकर असुरक्षित अपने आप को महसूस करेगा, वो देश की सुरक्षा में किस मनोबल से लगेगा, उसका आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं।